What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mic Drop Monday. Today, we're switching things up a little bit. Instead of the usual format, we're sitting down for a roundtable conversation about something that's fresh on everyone's mind, the NALC Convention in Los Angeles. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to the convention, the conversations that happened, the issues that were brought to the table, the decisions that were made, and most importantly, what it all means for letter carriers moving forward. So today we're going to hear different perspectives, talk about the biggest takeaways, and have an open and honest conversation about what happened in LA and where we go from here. No scripts, no sugarcoating, just a real roundtable discussion. Grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's talk about the NALC convention. Let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margo O'Neill. I'm a city letter carrier from here in Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm a member of Branch 352.
I'm John Poskin. I've been a letter carrier for 25 years. I'm currently the vice president of South Suburban Merge Branch 4016 in the South Suburbs of Chicago.
Hey, my name is Anna Bryant. I am from the McHenry Post Office, Branch 825. I am also the steward there. I have been a carrier for 10 years, but I started off rural and realized that city life was where I should have been.
Hey, everybody. My name is Abrahim Askar, but they call me Abraham. Been a city letter carrier for 20 years, union member for 20 years. I was the EVP at my branch, then we abolished that position to save money. And now currently I'm just a steward at my branch.
Hey everybody, my name is Michael Rivera. I'm a city letter carrier, rank and file member of Branch 70 in San Diego, California. I've been a carrier since, I've been with the post office since 2012. Not 2001, unlike what you may have heard a couple of days ago.
All right. So now we're going to talk about if this was your first convention.
It was my first convention. Yeah.
It was mine.
Abraham Askar here. It was my first convention also. I'm joking. It was my first convention.
Was it really?
It was mine, but by the skin of my teeth. I just barely got in, guys. Yeah. I mean, like, I got the reversal of the suspension like 2 weeks before the freaking convention. It was crazy.
This was my second convention. How many has it been for you, Mr. Poskins?
This is actually only my second, too. I was in Chicago previously.
Okay, so I did Boston and not Chicago. It would have made sense to do Chicago, but yeah. All right. Was there anything that surprised you this convention?
One thing that surprised me, I guess I didn't have an image in my mind for how they were going to handle the people who wanted to say something. So seeing like microphones numbered 1 through 9, I thought that was really interesting. And I would say like one of the things that surprised me the most was like the way that they voted and like the whole thing where it was like you would have a principle, like, for example, ranked choice voting, and the executive council votes to disapprove that amendment. And then you vote on whether or not to like agree or disagree with the disapproval. I feel like that added a layer of confusion and like sort of weirdness to things that maybe doesn't necessarily need to be there. I've never done this before, so I don't know, but like just a thought.
Okay.
That really bothered me too. As being a first timer, I thought that was an extra wrinkle that we didn't really need. We were really short on time for all these resolutions. We should have just gone with a straight, yes for adoption, no for adoption, and it's kind of skewed the vote, I think, too. But as a first timer, I just thought it was like why are we doing this extra step? I get it. You want to give us your, what you guys recommend, but we're the ones here in the choice here, and we have the language in front of us. Let's go ahead and debate it and, get it on its merits, not on what, the council thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that, and it's like the council can still give their opinion. Like the council can still give their opinion, but it's just like, do we really need to vote on whether or not we should approve the opinion? I don't know.
I feel like some of the issues were not debated on, though. It was just called to the question. There were a couple of times where they just called to the question right away. And while I don't think that we had to debate like every single issue, I do think that it should have been ran with less speakers if you had so much shit to get through.
Okay.
That was a
John.
big thing for me being at a convention before. The amount of amendments and resolutions was so much more than what was in Chicago. I don't think it was well planned for by National. They knew that they had all these extra amendments and things coming in, and they tried to run the same schedule as normal. That's poor planning. I agree. Some of the issues could have used more debate, but I think some people were also in the room like, there's certain things that we kind of spent too much time on and realized how far behind we were. So they're just calling to the question.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I understand, I had to leave, unfortunately, because I had a flight before we finished on Friday, because obviously I planned my flight around ending at noon, not ending at 3. And from my understanding, even at the 3 o'clock extension, there were still resolutions that we didn't even get to. That's probably something to figure out for the future. And I think cutting down on if the executive council thing, I agree, it's weird. And then even if we pass it, then we got to vote again to actually adopt the thing. Like that's a waste of time. Now you're going to double vote on the same thing. That's just absurd.
So I'm going to say something a little controversial here. I mean, Sarah, I told you you're going to have to give me free range. So what surprised me is, I'm going to be honest with you, how well Renfro handled the convention.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give
I agree.
I got to give props where props is
I
due.
agree.
Yeah. He did, because I couldn't handle that many people the way he did. So, I mean, we're talking about what, almost 10,000 people, and he was keeping everything in check. So, got to give credit where credit's due. Go ahead, brother.
Was that Rivera trying to say something?
Yeah,
go ahead, Rivera. Very
no, I
patient.
just thought he was very likable at the end there.
Yeah,
he was.
He got liked. He was.
He was so sassy, but it was like funny and like charming.
Brian was a low-key comedian. Like some of the sarcastic stuff he would say, I was rolling in my seat.
Yeah. The thing is, you hear people talk shit about him for over a year, and then when you get there, you're like, oh man, what am I gonna expect? And you're like, oh man, this dude was actually not a bad guy, to be honest with you. So, that's my controversy. So.
Can I share something about his other guy, Paul Barner? So when after I got done with the appeals, when I was reading, I gave my appeal speech, and then Barner had to reply. And he was going through it like a mile a minute for that appeals letter that they had sent me. So his response was just like he was just zooming through it. A couple of minutes later, after it was all said and done, he came up to me, he's like, "Read that fast again." Like he's not. And I was like, "That's so funny." I was like, started laughing. We had a good laugh, and he came over and shook my. And I thought that was so cool. That even after all of this, especially this whole year's worth of like, the talking heads talking about this stuff, that he was still cool enough to come up to me and shake my hand after it was all said and done, and even have a laugh. That was pretty cool.
So I'm gonna say this. I also went to one of his classes that him and Nicole and the fraud guy, I don't know his name. It was some guy that taught about fraud prevention. I'm running for treasurer this year. And I have to say, the dude is pretty smart. Like, I'm talking about the EVP Barner. He the way he taught the class, he kept everybody's attention, and he actually did a good job. I mean, I don't know how. Like, hey man, maybe they're not good negotiators, but they actually did a great job. Like with the convention. So.
I feel like that does seem to be the dominant opinion of the job that Renfro did, like running the convention. I feel like almost everyone that I heard talk about the job that Renfro did, conducting the convention and, keeping time and doing all that stuff. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So what do you think was the most important business that we conducted during convention?
I thought that a lot of it was important. One thing that was another part that was disappointing for me was I was there as a guest. It's kind of a long story. I sort of missed the deadline to make it in as a delegate. But one thing that was sort of disappointing to me was that the live streaming was off during the executive session, which is the point where they were talking about like amendments and voting on various things. And it would have been fine. I wish that I could have gotten a live stream to that, because guests like myself weren't allowed inside the room, which understandable. You don't want us voting or anything like that. But then we were relegated to like standing outside of if we wanted to hear what was going on, we were just basically standing outside of the giant open like door thing. And the security guards didn't want us to put like chairs there or like sit down or anything. So if you wanted to hear the business that was going on, I'm an NALC member, like I wanted to hear what was going on, we had to essentially just stand there. And so I made friends with a couple of people in the guest section because we were just kind of relegated to the same area. Would have been really cool to be able to like watch on my phone or like be able to keep up with things easier. But they'll give us all sorts of reasons about why they don't want to live stream that part. So even though there was a district manager there on the first day, they brought in a district manager to like say something. I thought that was, but then they're always saying we can't live stream this because management will hear it. So it's like, I don't know.
Anyone else?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's a few things. The classes are always one of the highlights to me of the convention. There's always really good stuff in there. I sat in 3 different classes. Risk management and branch policy, being a branch officer is a good one. CAU and the research one. And I learned something in all of them. And even being an experienced grievance handler, I learned something in the research section. So there's always good classes there. I thought some of the highlights of the amendments, or what do you call resolutions or whatever, the ranked choice voting was obviously one that was going to be subject to a lot of debate, even though it failed. The locale pay, which is now legislatively one of our policies, that's something that's been brought up time and time again as a bargaining position. It's always gotten shot down. This time in a very close vote, it went the other way, which I think tells you the disparity we're starting to see in people who live in, say, bigger cities versus, more rural areas, especially at the bottom end of the pay scale. I think it's a big problem. And when you're in a big city like Seattle, Chicago, and New York, Boston, et cetera, LA. So those are a couple of the ones I thought were real interesting. And there's a few other ones I would have liked to see more debate on that got shut down too fast, but I understood why. So that was some of the highlights for me.
Anyone else?
The workshops were good while they lasted, I really wish we could have saw it through. I was really looking forward to having that Constitution and bylaw class by Nicole Ryan. And unfortunately, because of the resolutions, we weren't able to do it. And I'm hoping that maybe the NELC would maybe consider doing some sort of roaming workshop thing during the next couple of years, just to kind of make up for that. Because I think that stuff is, it sucks that it's only just during convention. I would really like to have something like that taught by Ryan during the year.
So that's not on that, what is it called? The NALCU, the new university that they have online? I haven't checked it out yet. So, I mean, have you seen...
that is mostly like different classes on contract enforcement and stuff right now, at least so far. But they could use the membership portal the way, Michael, instead of having it be traveling, just post the classes in the membership portal.
I was thinking the same thing.
Do them that way, and maybe that gets more members to be able to see it than even doing the traveling. They'll have to pay. So a lot of smaller branches can't afford to send people to these kind of things, even if it's just a few hundred miles away.
Yeah.
But I like Michael's idea, but I think in the membership portal, that's something they could use it for more.
That would be excellent right there. That's a great idea.
I second that, because the majority of these stuff was on PowerPoint slides, so it could be something that we read when we're at home. Because there was a class that was canceled on Thursday because of all the resolutions, so I was really disappointed, because as a first-time convention goer, I look forward to that class so that I can learn more about it, because I am currently expecting. So it's I really wanted to learn about the PWA and the FMLA aspect behind it, because I can read on my own, but it would have been nice to have the workshop to kind of back me up while I'm at work.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
No, congrats.
Yeah, I was really disappointed that the women in labor leadership was canceled.
All my girlies were going to take that class.
Yes.
I was excited for that. I know. I was disappointed about that too.
Yeah. I wish they would have just kept like the morning classes or rearranged to have them in the morning. That way, like we can just have the evening for business or something like that. Because it seems like as time goes on, there's going to be more and more resolutions and amendments that are going to be proposed. And I think they're going to have to adjust some things for the future in general.
They're going to need to start planning. I mean, if they're not going to start planning like more convention days, like, I mean, that's the easiest answer for me. I understand that it's going to be difficult for branches to pay for people to go for 5-6 days, but it's like, if this is the union business we got to get to, then it's like, we got to start planning for it somehow or another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Was there anybody else that wanted to talk about anything you felt was really important?
I think the AFL-CIO nominations was a
Yes.
pivotal
that
thing.
was cool.
Yes.
That was cool.
You know what? You could see that I've never been to another convention, but I'm pretty sure that this was the longest line for AFL-CIO delegates. The conversation's been started, and importantly, a lot of people are being made aware of this thing called in-block voting. And I think it's super important that we know that when our votes are being counted as individuals or being co-opted by our branches.
Oh, I forgot about your situation, Mike. I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
Yeah, but I'm just one of many, and I think a lot of folks probably had a wake-up call and was like, wait a minute, I don't recall like agreeing to this,
Go ahead, John. Do you want to say? Go ahead, John. You
Yeah,
go
I got
first,
something
and
to say about this a little bit too. For two things with nominations. One, the AFL-CIO. What we did is we had a vote on the spot. People wanted to vote individually, voted individually. Those who didn't, we still voted partial block, because you're also giving up votes if you don't do that. For the members, for the people who couldn't actually make it, they don't get a vote. So, and there's some, you got to trust your representative in that situation. And in our case, normally the president would make those votes, but since she wasn't present, I made the block votes. So, but everyone who wanted to vote individually had that right, and they went and did so. And I really think that's, the best way to handle it is between you and your members, figure it out. That if some of them want to vote individually, I think they should have that right to do so. But at the same token, if everyone votes individually, you're actually giving up some of your voting for your branch. So you might want to be careful about just doing all individual but that's up to each branch too, how they want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
as far as
I think
nominations went, though, celebrate all the nominations were great. We got to celebrate that night with Cariff and stuff. That was
awesome.
When Mike walked into the bar and the whole bar was chanting,
We like Mike. We like Mike.
That
shit was
everyone
awesome.
got into it. Ronnie being able to celebrate Ronnie.
Yeah.
Which is well deserved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was
the shit.
fun,
That
too.
was the shit.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't
tell
even
you
cut
what.
off there, Abraham. Sorry.
No. That was, dude. I didn't know if we were gonna go straight into that or we're just gonna like come back around to that, because that was one of my best nights, actually, as a union member. The win for Ronnie, like how he won by default because nobody ran against him, and with the nomination party for Mike at what was it? The 33. What is it?
33 taps.
33 taps. That was one of the funnest nights ever. I mean, it made this whole working behind the scenes on the campaign and just putting in the legwork, because it's work. I'm going to be honest with you, behind the scenes. And it's volunteer work. Nobody's promised anything.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to cough up $10,000 to get a spot. I'm just joking. But for real, though, like everybody that's working on Mike's campaign is volunteer work. And that celebration made it worth it. That night was one of the best nights ever in my union career. So, but the nominations and I just want to go back to that real quick. So we voted in block, and I was happy that we voted in block. We had 6 votes, 6 delegates. I didn't know. First of all, like, thank God we were just like, we're gonna vote stand-up slate and Mr. Lloyd. We went with Mr. Lloyd because he's from New Orleans, and we didn't want to like split the vote. So it was almost like a little bit of horse trading. So it was just like stand-up slate, Mr. Lloyd. I'm gonna stand in line, and I was the one that stood in line for the vote. Nobody. It winded up being the way what happened. But John, you were saying that okay, they gave us 6 votes. If you voted partial block, would they just minus the people? I didn't know that you can do that. So explain that.
Yeah. So like we had, I don't remember exactly how many delegates we were allotted or whatever, but we had about 10 there or so that wanted to vote individually. So they each got 1 vote each, and then I had the remaining 22 for our branch.
Okay.
We're a good sized branch, so we get a lot of delegates because of that. I imagine Sarah's branch gets more, actually, 25. And so we didn't lose, the ability to have the block voting like that because it's based on the delegates you're allotted for the convention. I don't think it was actually based on everybody who showed up either.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't have, if you did the 22 plus the people who voted individually, we didn't have that many people there. So you're not giving up, because if everybody votes individually, then you are giving up those other people who didn't come but are still delegates, if you get what I mean, for your branch. So it takes away from your branch's ability to have their full delegates represented, even if they weren't able. Like we had 2 that weren't able to make it last minute for whatever reasons. Stuff like that comes up. It happens. So then you're trusting your branch leader, whoever that is. It's usually the president, but sometimes, like in your case, it wasn't. It was you, right, Abraham? So.
Well, I wasn't. So they just gave it to me because they were just like, "Hey, if you're gonna," I volunteered to wait in line, which it wasn't that bad. I mean, a lot of people. So I didn't wait in the line where you voted separately. That looked miserable. It's like, can I buy a fast pass to get through that? You know what I'm saying? But I waited inside the block line, which took about 15 minutes at the most. I was talking to other people. You looked up, and I didn't know that your states were in alphabetical order. So they had everything where, because I didn't know where to go. And each state, it was like from A to whatever, you stand in this line. And then I stood in Louisiana's line because it fell under like LMOP or something like that. So, yeah. Yeah.
I just want to, on this note, I just want to toot me and Sarah's horn here. I want to toot the horn of the stand-up slate because we worked really hard. We started campaigning. Yeah, we started campaigning like 6 weeks ago. We hit the ground running. We printed literature. We made a website. We made appearances on podcasts. We had a platform. And I really think that we threw down the gauntlet in terms of those positions because the CLC started running people beforehand, probably like 2-3 weeks before the convention. And we only learned of the people on the Ryan Peralta slate like the last day, like the Thursday. That was the day that we had been handing out literature. We had already been handing out literature on Monday and Tuesday. And then we decided, okay, let's save the rest for Thursday. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say we kicked massive butt in that regard. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here. We kicked some massive butt. And I think that even though we didn't win, we still kicked butt. We did. We kicked butt. I'm sorry. And I just wanted to shout out John Murphy, Chris Berchampieri, John Badmouth Morris, and Josh Towney as well, because they were also on our slate. Mm-hmm. And even if we didn't win, I just wanted to say that our objective, we had multiple objectives. Okay. So it's so objective number 1, win this position. We're already doing the work. Let's do it. Objective number 2 is let's open things up for table 2 carriers. Let's show table 2 carriers that they can run for things. And let's get out there. Let's democratize the race and add people to the race. And I just wanted to say that I think that we accomplished most of those objectives and we made them work for it. Right. And the fact that line was so long when they had never had a line that long before just really shows that the times are changing, just like how they need more time to get through the resolution business and the actual business of the convention. In a similar way, they're going to need to start preparing for more candidates and more, ranked choice vote would have been awesome for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a retiree that had talked to me that I had met there, and he had told me in the last 20 years at convention, it was just 7 people nominated for AFL-CIO, and then 7 people were elected.
folks, you can run for stuff. You can run for national stuff. You can run for stuff in your branch. Like, why not? Especially table 2. Do it.
Mm-hmm. I think we did get one table 2 winner in the AFL-CIO, Trevor Haas.
Yeah. Happy for him. Super happy for him.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
No, let's not forget, be it table 1 or table 2, we're all letter carriers. And, ultimately, table 1's basically non-existent anymore. Everyone on table 1's pretty much at the top step, which is the same top step as table 2. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's fair that what happened with table 2, but reality is we're more likely to be stuck with table 2 than table 1 in the future because there's no carriers on table 1 technically anymore. And I think we just need to some of the things that, like last time where we eliminated some of the steps, I think that's the best way we're going to be able to advance the carriers is instead of trying to get table 1 back. I think that ship sailed a long time ago. Is cut off that front end to where the starting pay is higher and higher, and there's less waiting period to get to the top. I think that's the best way to attack it and the most realistic way to attack it. And it was part of what Brian did present at the January 1st through 3rd conference was shortening the waiting periods from 46 to 40 in between each step. And that's a step in the right direction. I think the starting pay needs to be higher though. It's too low.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I agree with everything you're saying. Like, let's keep it real. There's no more table 1. All table 1 carriers that are on top step, they're like table 2 carriers now on top step. I agree with what you said with cutting the back end off. Like maybe if we started around F or G, to get that pay, like the walk-in pay, because just to get better talent. Well, we got good people that come work, but the pay's just too low, man. And it needs to be better to to keep the people. This is a career. This isn't hey, I'm just going to grab this job for the summer and then leave. Like, no, you want these people to stay, the good ones.
Well, the $30 starting pay resolution that passed is a good.
Hey, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to push for, and we may not get it this contract. Maybe it's the next one. I don't know, but obviously it would be great if that would be the starting pay. I think it should be, but it's hard. It's hard because you either got to get the Postal Service to agree to something, or you got to convince an arbitrator to give us a really big jump, and that's not going to be an easy sell to an arbitrator. It's going to be I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. I think those were like the $30 starting pay. And then we approved T-COLAs too, didn't we? So those were things that I remember hearing in Boston, and they were shot down like right away in Boston. So it takes time, but these things
definitely takes time.
You make your argument and you get more people on board and you can get these things approved and passed. So
right. Making it a bargaining position is the first step. Now actually getting it is that's another battle in and of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, all right. The next question I have is, why is it important for delegates and members to participate in this convention process?
Because it controls the direction of the union. It controls the direction of the union. So, well, first of all, it's very important to be a delegate. And if you're concerned that you might not be a delegate and you forget to read your branch bylaws, like not unlike myself, I would really encourage you to look into your branch bylaws. If they're not posted on the internet, ask someone at your branch, ask the president, ask the VP, ask someone who knows where they are, because that's how you're going to find out if you can be a delegate in Minneapolis next time around. And I would have given my right arm to have been able to vote during this election. And it's really hard to sit there and be an outsider. So I'll just give you my perspective on that. It's really hard to sit out there and be excluded from business, even though I'm like, I really want to be part of this. Like I'm a carrier and I do this, So it's important because this is the direction of the union, right? The ranked choice voting thing will make a huge difference. If we had gotten that this year, this race would be very different. There's a chance that somebody wins this election, like a non-zero chance, maybe a low chance, but not a zero chance, that this election is decided by somebody winning 26% of the vote.
I agree.
And so if you're there and you can be a delegate and vote on these resolutions that decide how you vote, what the bargaining positions are, the T-COLA is huge. And that's something that people have been talking about since the 80s, right? So yeah, so this is about the direction of the union, and this is what I've been looking to do all along in the union. It's really interesting to me to do this like political stuff.
Yeah, because remember, in between all the conventions, the executive council basically runs the union. During the week of the convention, we're telling them what we as the members want, and we vote on these things, right? Sometimes you win the vote, sometimes you lose the vote, but it's the direction that we want to see our union go, and then then they're supposed to negotiate that on our behalf and try to do those things and try to run it that way. And I'm agreeing with you on the. I think I would be surprised if any one of the four gets more than 30% of the vote, and I think most of the other races probably will be over 50% because there's only 2 people races for the most part, other than a couple exceptions. But yeah,
it's going to be.
I'd be surprised if one of them gets more than 30%. I think it's gonna be a tight race too, personally. And I think Caref's the guy. I think he's gonna pull it out. I don't think it's gonna be a race by any means.
Look, Sarah, you know that I always say this. It's not going to be easy, but God willing, I do think that Caref will win this election. In my opinion, looking at it, I'm allowed to say that. That's who I'm going to vote for. But yeah, it's not one of those elections like I heard somebody say, my candidate's going to get 80% of the vote and the rest of them are going to fight over the other 20%. It's like, get out of here, bro. You're not living in reality, and you're actually feeding your people misinformation. But that's just my opinion. This is going to be a dogfight. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's not like the candidates are bad. Don't get me wrong. But nobody's going to walk away with 50+% of the vote. I'm just
Yep. Anybody else?
Oh yeah, I can't. No, yeah, this is gonna, like he said, it's gonna be a dogfight. This is gonna be like we're only like hours away from a potential is a debate roundtable out of 1100 Q&A,
Yeah, that
right?
I want to see that.
It's gonna show a lot, and I really am I'm really excited to see what type of questions are gonna be asked to these candidates. And I think we got 3 out of the 4 showing up.
That's what I was going to ask. Did all 4 of them agree to it? I know Caref's going to go. Yeah. And I know Lou's going to go because Lou made that video. I have to say this, guys. I'm from Region 8. I didn't ever work with Lou Drass, but I spoke to him. You got to look. Lou's a genius, man. I have to say this. He jumped in the race late, but if you speak to him, a lot of our shit that's inside that's written in our books is from Lou.
Yeah.
A lot of the fighting discipline is from Lou. So you got to give credit where credit's due. He jumped in late. He probably should have been the president last time or the time before. It is what it is. I mean, if we had ranked choice, he would have been my second choice. So
yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, right? And so if Lou Drass is out there and he's got an open mic and you got Caref there, I am curious to see how that's going to turn out. It's going to say a lot about their leadership styles. It's going to show a lot about how they're going to be able to answer questions on the fly. Ryan, too. We haven't seen Ryan in a position like this ever. And this is a really great moment for also our female candidates out there to show that they can hang with the in this race. Who better than Nicole Ryan? Right?
100%.
This is going to be an excellent race to see these 3 go at it tomorrow. And I'm backing Caref. I mean, if that hasn't been, it's an open secret. I'm 100% endorsing my Caref. But also, let's look at the executive council, the nominations out of the convention. We got a lot of younger people coming out of this. So, I mean, Chris Reed for Region 1. I'm super excited to see what Chris Reed can do. And
Elliot Simmons.
Against Elliot Simmons.
Yeah, good. Look, Elliot,
Elliot's from our region.
Elliot Simmons, fight for the forgotten, baby. So
he started in Region 3.
There is a lot of hope here, you guys, and I'm looking forward to see. I mean, even Chris Strickland out there. I mean, he's a candidate out there. Imagine the council with those names on it. It's been forever since we've seen changes on the top.
Yeah.
But imagine those names getting in. The makeup of the NALC will change with those guys in executive council.
One last thing that I just want to say on the note of why it's important, why it's important to go to the convention. I'm going to give you guys a John Murphy speech right now, and I'm going to say this is your union. This is your union. So you can either sit on the sidelines and you can go to your steward when something makes you angry. You can use it as a car insurance policy and not do anything otherwise, or you can stand up and you can have your voice heard, right? I left politics, like national politics, because I realized that there was nowhere for the working class to gain any in, right? That was why I joined a union in the first place, because guess what? It's a lot easier to change an entity that has 200,000 members, right? It's a lot easier to make a significant impact on a, in terms of the working class, rather than like a national election where your vote is one of like, I don't know, like 70, 80 million, right? This is your union and this is your voice. And like, if you're not using it, like, I mean, it's just, I hate to see that. I hate to see people having a voice and not using it.
I have to say this to just, can you guys hear me? Or
Mm-hmm.
I have muted my mic. If you're listening to this and you're not getting your postal record at your mailing address, you need to go ahead and contact the NALC today, the second you listen to this, and change your address, because that ballot has to get into your hands. Once you get your ballot, please fill it out right away. Drop it in the mail with you when you go to work the next day, because the mail's kind of crazy these days, and we want your ballot to be counted. So.
Yep.
Do the same with your local branch too, because if you have local branch elections in a bigger branch like mine, we mail out our ballots. But if you're not getting our newsletter, that means we don't have your address, even if National does. National doesn't. You call National and say I moved. They don't call a local branch and go, hey, guess what? So and so moved. They don't. So your local branch wouldn't know you moved, and you're not going to get a ballot to vote for your own local representatives either. So that's a good reminder, Abraham. Very good.
Yeah.
No problem, brother.
Okay. All right. So was there anything specifically you heard that really stuck with you, or anything that happened that really stuck with you?
Okay, so this is off topic. We were staying inside the Biltmore Hotel, and it's like a historic hotel. That's the hotel they told us to stay in. So I was like cool with it, just like, oh, this is like a fancy hotel. I didn't know like the Oscars were given at that hotel. Yeah, it's a crazy hotel. Like you go into the lobby, there's like pictures of Walt Disney and Shirley Temple. It's a super weird, super like glamorous hotel. It's old school. It was built in like 1917. So my union president comes to me like on day 2 or day 3. He was like, Abraham. I was like, what's up, bro? He was like, this hotel is haunted. And it kind of looks like a haunted mansion. And I was just like, oh, dude, don't tell me that, please. So there's something like, it was like an unsolved crime that happened. The lady's name was the Black Dahlia. Have you ever heard of
yeah.
that? So
No way.
it was, yeah. So he told me that so I had stopped in his room, and I drink a lot of coffee. I mean, you see my big cup. So he doesn't. So I had brewed myself a coffee when I was in his room, and I forgot the cup there. He was like, dude, I don't drink coffee. There was a cup of coffee that was brewed in my room. It was the funniest shit ever. I was like, dude, that was me. So I was like, why'd you have to freak me out? Now I got to sleep with the light on in my room, dude. I'm by myself. So, yeah.
Okay.
You'll never believe it. This coffee was piping hot and it smelled so delicious.
Yeah, it was so weird. It told us. But now, after you told me that story, every day when I was going to the gym in the morning, they got like a big picture of her hung up in the hallway to the gym. I was had to look at her, and it's like so creepy. I was like, dude, why did you have to tell me this story? So yeah, that's something that stuck with me since you asked, Sarah.
Yeah.
Something that stuck out me of both national conventions. I get to run into so many people that I've worked with in trainings or Facebook groups or whatever across the country, and get to talk and catch up with them, and just especially at the thing they had Monday night, whatever they called it, the reception. But when you guys talk about Lou is the mentor at my arbitration advocate training I went to in 2019. We talked about that a little bit. Colin Lunan, he's a national advocate now, and just all sorts of people that from across the country I've just gotten to know, and it's great to catch up with them, talk to them, and get to speak with them. And that's something only a national convention you really get to do face to face, really. Yeah. I mean, you might run into one of them here or there at a national training or something like that, but not such a large group. So to me, that always sticks out to me. It's a great memory, and it's part of the camaraderie of being in a union, though, brothers and sisters, and working together for a common cause. So
yeah. It's like a family reunion. That's what I called it.
Right, there you go. I like it.
Yeah, it's like a big family reunion. You see people that you haven't seen or you never even met in real life. You just know them from the online world, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was really great to see them in real life. So, and hang out with them.
Yeah.
I heard something from a fellow that we had met in the bar. But unfortunately it's too hilarious for me to tell you on air. So I guess I'll just fill you in when we're done.
Okay. Okay, so for me, something that like really, I guess it kind of really bothered me more than anything was that a lot of people were voting on things that they either didn't know about or haven't had like experience with in a while. Like I love our retirees, especially the ones in my branch, but like the first class mail thing, like there was the proposal about the first class mail, and the executive council's response was about penalty overtime and all of that, right? But most of us are not even being allowed to work to get that penalty overtime, and it's something that I think they have good intentions for voting the way they did, but I wish they would have consulted with like those of us that are on the workroom floor. And I think it's something that I want to make sure we have conversations about before the next convention, is like we're having these discussions with retirees who aren't experiencing things on the workroom floor because they're voting based on their experiences, right? Instead of what is actually happening. And then they also have wisdom to share with us too about things that they've experienced. So, yeah.
I mean, it's cool that the retirees are involved and everything, but we kind of need some young blood in there. And I'm gonna tell you something, guys. If I can do this, if I can be a steward or an executive officer in my branch, anybody can do it. I'm just gonna let you know. It's you just have to. Yeah, I hate to say that. If I can do this, anybody can do it. But you know,
Way to keep a low bar, brother. No, I'm just
I seen a brother there, and I appreciated his service. But like he was a nice guy, but he had a Korean War veteran hat on, and he was a delegate, and I was just like, huh. So I looked up. The Korean War ended in 1953. It's just like, dude, this is 53 years ago, you know, not in a bad way. It's just like sometimes you just got to pass that torch to the next generation and not be a gatekeeper, and, you know, start training the next generation to take it and be proud of handing it over to them. And I'm not trying to knock any of them, but it's just like, what are we doing here? You know, like you can't hold on to this forever. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, and it was actually 73 years. I was doing the math where you're saying 1953, 73 years.
Bro, he had the hat. He had the
Crazy.
hat. The guy can barely walk. I felt bad for him. He had the real delegate. He had the delegate thing where
he had
voted.
the OG vest.
Yeah, he didn't have the one that he didn't have the badge where you're like invited in. He had the badge where he can vote, and I'm like, oh, you know, I was just like, okay. He said 73 years. Yeah, I was off by 20 extra years. Damn, how old could this guy be then? I mean, let's just say he got drafted. Whatever. So
I do agree with what you guys both just said. And I met Tyler Vassar out in the hall before we came back inside. And I was like, you know, I was really looking forward to hear you speak. I said, and I know Brian didn't call on you when you were at the microphone yesterday. And he goes, well, that's all right. I'm going to talk about the no strike amendment. And I was like, oh, hold on, Tyler. I was like, I love where you're at, but I've been here now for like 3 days. I've seen how this voting is going to go. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think they're ready for what you're trying to spread, but I'm hopeful in what you have to say. And I want to hear what you have to say, but also you need to know that it's more than likely not going to go your favor, just so you know, because I've seen how the voting has been done those prior days. And some of the issues that, like you said, Sarah, that we face on the floor today is not an issue that they have to deal with, but it does affect us. So their votes were not in our favor when it affected us directly. So that's just kind of what I took from it, just seeing it firsthand.
Yeah, I wanted to reply to that because I am on the BFN coordinating committee. So yeah, there were a lot of people who were like, the vote was like 2,000 to 500. Like, did they really need a teller vote? That was strategic. It was strategic because we want to know numbers so that we can know where we're at, right? In terms of our, like, the things that we're pushing for, right? And I think that the right to strike is for sure the most, like, one of the more controversial ones. And people, we tend to get a lot of pushback on that, which is understandable because it is something that we haven't taken up since the 70s and things are very, very different now. What I will say is I think that it's still important to plant the seeds. Like, as you can see with the Boston Convention, how, like, so much, it seems to me from the outsider's perspective that a lot had changed between Chicago and Boston and now, right? Like, the Boston Convention ended up taking way longer than anyone expected. This convention also ended up taking a really, really long time. So yeah, so there may be some ideas out there that are like, oh wow, that's really crazy, and I'm really not sure about that. And I would say it's about planting the seed, right? It's about planting the seed and nurturing that, like, as the years go by, because things are going to change.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else have any big takeaways? Anything?
Just to piggyback from that one, it's just that I think there was a lot more younger people getting to the mic. Than from what I gather from other convention goers. There were a lot more younger people. There were a lot more questions about parliamentary order. There were people who were genuinely interested in the procedure. Now, you had a few folks out there who kind of played their gimmicks, and they were just asking for the question and seconding the motion and this and seconding the question and all that. Like, the people, right? They were just there. And they didn't really seem super interested in the business, but there definitely were a lot of folks there that were. And just as like a result from that, from this week's convention, there's already a group that's been created, and I think it's by Greg Donaldson, to get to kind of to brainstorm a think tank, really, just to kind of get these resolutions, like to work on these resolutions, so maybe we don't have repeat resolutions. We can just work on one solid resolution to present. And
collaboration is always great.
Yeah,
that was one of my ideas for all the classes too.
For a better, for resolution planning. So I'm excited about that, and it's being led by the younger generation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, in the next 10 years, this convention's going to be completely flipped as far as, like, who's going to be in control and who's retired from it, and, like, that's how it goes.
I wish I was close to being retired.
Sarah, what was that awesome idea that you had? It was to do the
collaborative notes. Class. Oh, that too. Yeah.
Sarah's full of great ideas.
I'm an idea person. Yeah. So before convention, I had a discussion with Ryan West, who's going to Leadership Academy from Region 3 this year. And I had told him, I think it would be awesome if for these classes for convention, we had collaborative notes. So we're going to be working on organizing that. Anybody who submitted anything today. And then the first day of convention, or was it Tuesday, whatever day it was that we were all walking together, the stand-up slate, I had the discussion about how I really think we need a Robert's Rules of Order, like the very first class, the very first day of convention, just to go over stuff. And I think it would be most effective if it was several small classes on it, so you can have more interaction and you can kind of gauge more where people are at. And even if you have like a novice level for some people who are familiar, that they could still learn more about the procedures and all of that. Because it's not, although our branch meetings are supposed to be run by Robert's Rules of Order, I don't know how other branches actually run their meetings, right? And they might be a lot more informal than what it's supposed to be.
Saturday and Sunday before convention starts, during registration, that would be perfect. Just to pair them up there when you get register, and then there's just like hourly classes. I don't know, bi-hourly classes, just there for anybody who's registering. Just go in there, get a quick, a quick rundown on Robert's rules.
I mean, they can't even do it on YouTube. Like, just put together a YouTube video. And I hate to say it like that. You can do it live too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, just have something on the NALC YouTube channel
Yeah.
and let people know, hey, watch this real quick video or however long it is, before you come to the convention, just so you're familiar. Because I didn't even know how to use that whole, like, where you press the button and you're asking the question and they have like the just say no sign and the check, and and then they had a hand too, right?
Yeah, one was a
So
point of privilege, one was information, and then you have if you're speaking for it or against
you're
it.
checked.
Yeah.
The check is if you're speaking for it.
There's a little guide in the back of the pocket guide that like told you about it. And then I know I was lucky because at my branch, our meeting's always the last Thursday of the month. So we actually had packets printed out for all the delegates, and it had information on how, if you wanted to go to the mic, what to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
See,
I
that
think
would have
one
been a
thing,
great
though,
YouTube video.
when we talk about Robert's rules, is that Robert's rules is not the be all and end all of how the NALC runs things. It's your bylaws and the Constitution supersede. Robert's rules are more applying when it's silent or as a guideline or whatever. But like branch, most branch meetings, if you look in the Constitution, it actually tells you what reports are required in there and stuff like that. Like those things must be done.
Yeah.
Your manager's report, your officers' reports, those kind of things are requirements. And but the general of having a motion, having a second, that definitely derives from Robert's orders and Robert's rules of orders, and so it is a guideline the union uses, but we're not a strict adherence to everything in there because rules supersede what's in there if a rule, and that's what Bryant I think was struggling to explain a few times. Our Constitution says we got to do it this way, even if Robert's rule says differently. The Constitution wins out in that situation.
Yeah.
And I did see him shut down a couple of people when they were out of line. He was just like, no, you're not going to do it this way.
And he was pretty polite about it too. He wasn't like,
yes.
I feel like most people assumed he was going to be like kind of ignorant about it, and he was not at all. He was, you could tell he was being very patient.
Yeah.
And he consulted with the parliamentarian a lot. And I actually like that because it made him more human.
So I got to ask this question to Brother Rivera, because he actually got up on the stage with Brian. How was he how was it looking at the
whole
what
body?
they call it? The body when they do a tally vote.
Huge, man. It's cool. You use a whole sea of people. It's an incredible view, and you definitely see it's hard to kind of gauge it, really. I mean, that you get definitely, because like when we're doing the votes, you could see the pockets of people standing up, and then the wave of people in the back too, and it's that first time, and here's the trick about the first time, is that we hadn't adopted the rules yet. So everyone was still kind of was still inside. That's another thing about when we talk about parliamentary order, is that I don't know when was the last time we actually did a rules change before the session started. But what happened with me changing that rule 21, I think it's going to tell people, hey, we probably should change the rules to, like we went back earlier in the podcast, how we were talking about the approval disapproval thing, the little wrinkle thing. We can actually change that rule to get rid of it, and that way we could just go to straight adoption. So now, food for thought for everybody. In future conventions, we can make the convention the way we want it to be if we garner enough support for that rule change, because it's simple. What was it, 2/3 or simple majority since we didn't adopt any rules? It's just simple majority, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the person who tried changing it after we did about 16 or 17 amendments you're going to have a hard time, because we already done it one way and now you want to switch it. That was even going to make it even more confusing for people who are already confused. And I think that's why that got shot down more than it was a good idea or not. It was, well, we already did it this way for a day and a half. Now we're going to switch it in the middle. That's a tougher sell.
Yeah.
Doing it out of the
Yeah.
gate like you did, Mike, with yours.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you guys feel like the delegates were actively engaged in business?
So I have to say this. I heard people, and I've seen people with my own eyes that were not doing the right thing. They would say yay and nay. They were voting on the same thing twice. And I was like, dude, you got to be more serious about this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when people started complaining about when we were getting through business, it was kind of disheartening because it's like we're supposed to represent the membership being there as delegates, and it kind of hurts a little that people like, I mean, obviously nobody wants to sit there all day, right? But that's what we should expect because we're literally there to work and do business.
There were a lot of grumpy people in that convention. A lot of grumpy people early on. I think they were full of piss and vinegar on Monday, but then middle Tuesday, they were checking out, and it showed Wednesday and Thursday. It was like, it was discouraging to see how many people were kind of grumbling under, and saying, they weren't having a discussion amongst their peers about the merits or the pros and cons of this amendment. They seem to just shoot down everything or go with whatever the executive council recommends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if Abraham, for a lot of what you said was going on, no wonder Brian was struggling up there to sometimes have to call division on his own if people are voting both ways. And then, when you do a teller count, you can't do that, right? Or,
shout out to the tellers that were going around and doing,
and those sergeant at arms too, because they had to open the doors.
Open the doors. So, now, I mean, I seen something that was bizarre, man. It was one of the most bizarre things that, I don't know, at the convention. So there's a guy, he's pretty popular in our union right now. He's from my region. And people stood up to vote a certain kind of way, and this guy was sitting. And then when they all seen him sitting, and we're talking about at least a dozen people, they seen him sitting, they looked back, they all sat down. And then this guy, he stood up for the same thing. That we were still going through the same thing. And all the people shot back up like rabbits. I was like, oh shit. I was like, this guy has a lot of control. So yeah, that was yeah.
Okay.
So, and they were not from his branch. So they were from his region, but yeah. So
I will say, I think that most people were there. I think that most people were there to do business. And I will say it is my fault that I wasn't a delegate, but being someone who would have loved to have had the chance to actually vote on stuff and actually like sit in there and do the business, like whenever I saw people that seemed disengaged or seemed frustrated that they had to be there, I'm like, put me in, coach, I mean, not literally, but like, yeah. And just like we said, that happens. People need breaks. I personally like being a mail carrier because I don't have to sit behind a desk. I don't have to sit down all day. I love to walk around. I love to do stuff, right? Like I love to be active and see how my day progresses. And when you're at the convention, it's not really like that. Okay. You're not walking around. You're not up. You're not active. You're only really taking breaks to go get food. So that's really difficult, and it's a really difficult situation for us, people who like to be up and walk around. It's difficult for us, right? So I sympathize with that, and at the same time, like, if I think about the folks at my office back home, and if I thought that I let them down by not voting on the direction of this union, right? Like, I would feel if I was a delegate and I treated it the way that I saw a couple people treating it, I would, and if I think about their offices back home, if they knew that they were doing that, I would be, if I was in their office, I would be disappointed, right? I would be trying to read my branch's bylaws to find out how I could become a delegate, right?
We're going to make sure Margo's a delegate next time.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but
Okay.
Margo, so you couldn't sit with us at all?
Not during the executive session. During the executive session, we were all cast out, and so you could kind of sit by the door where you could like kind of hear what was going on, kind of. But yeah, that was the parts that weren't live streamed. We could be in there for the rest of it, and during certain parts of it, like I would go and sit in the guest section. But like, yeah, otherwise it was just like, yeah, we had to sit outside.
Oh. So next time.
Next time. Minneapolis, here I come.
There you go.
I'm excited for Minneapolis.
Me too. It's gonna be fun.
Oh man, you sound like one of those people that are eating lunch and thinking about dinner.
That's pretty much it. Like the food in Minneapolis is so good. So good. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of BFN there. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And yeah, you're actually really correct about that. I'm eating breakfast. I'm thinking about lunch. I'm eating lunch. I'm thinking about my next snack. I'm eating my next snack. I'm thinking about dinner. You got me. You got me there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So
what I'm looking forward to the most is the fellowshipping, the stuff in between the sessions.
Yeah.
That for me personally was the most uplifting, like a constructive thing out of the convention, is actually meeting everyone and talking business, but talking, it's a mix of business, and we're talking about our own personal stuff. People we've been talking to for like years now, and we actually get to meet, and we're planning ahead. We're planning for Minneapolis and how we're going to tackle it. And we're starting, like Margo said, just we're sowing the seeds.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of discussion there. And guys, for a lot of folks, we're coming from our own branches, and we're dealing with our own local stuff. And this kind of reaffirmed, that solidarity thing, right? That we all believe in. It's like we all believe that we're all one union, and this convention like reaffirms that, especially when it's there's moments where it feels like it's strained.
So I'm gonna just jump on something real quick with what you're saying, Mike. The next convention, I'm looking forward to it because there's not an election. There's not the AFL-CIO. It's not a presidential election. Nobody has to wear certain, like gang colors, I guess you could call it. Like, hey, we're just letter carriers. And the thing is, when we're just letter carriers and you're talking to your brothers and sisters and they know what you're going through, and it's so much different than being on, that's your team right there. This is my team right here. I hated that shit, to be honest with you. Yeah. And that, unfortunately, that was a lot of this convention, but hopefully next time that would be over with. There's people that made certain promises that if they get elected, they're not going to keep with their certain, I guess you can just call it a clique. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, but yeah. So I just want to experience a convention where it's not political, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I will say the camaraderie was awesome. Like meeting all the people that I have only ever met over Zoom, and like being able to look into the face of some people that I really, really look up to, people on the Zoom call that I really, really look up to. And like, it was amazing. And it's like seeing people who were beefing, hug, seeing people who were beefing, like shake hands and like recognize each other as siblings within this union. It was really powerful. And they may go back to beefing after this. I don't know. But like just to see the warmth and the camaraderie, and for all of us to come together as a union and recognize each other as siblings in the union, it was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I had a lot of hugs and people I haven't seen, met new people. I got to meet Michael and Abraham here at this convention. I didn't know them before. And all sorts of other things like that. The camaraderie is a big part of this. It's a big deal, and it's part of what unites us as brothers and sisters. So
100%.
It continue not just at conventions, but at trainings and stuff. I see it too, on a smaller scale. But yeah, national, it's a much different thing because there's so many people there.
I tell you what, meeting John at the escalator and working the stickers and the info booth or whatever you want to call it, that was awesome. Because we didn't even know each other. I didn't know John. He didn't know me. But just finding somebody that worked so well together, and we're just like, and then Murphy was there He's just like, guys, this was my spot. We're like, we're taking it from you.
Yeah, he's like, you guys are aggressive. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, you catch that one, and John was like, you catch that escalator, and we're just handing out stuff, and so yeah, that was pretty fun. So,
Okay.
And John's a good guy too. He's
oh yeah,
having fun with us. He wasn't.
oh yeah, John Murphy's a good dude, man.
He is
So
good.
I'm
Which
a little
one? There's like 3.
Yeah.
Florida,
Stand-up slate.
Florida. Okay.
because we got Chattanooga, and there's another one from New York that yeah. But the one thing I am bummed out about, I didn't know that Greg went to the convention. I found
Greg
out today. I know.
Oh yeah.
I was
He was on the
listening
mic a
to
couple
Next Gen
times.
today.
Yeah.
I was delivering mail, listening to Next Gen, and it was like when I was like, I didn't get to meet Greg. I was like, I was a little bummed out. So maybe next time, Greg. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was there any particular speakers or a presentation like from a speaker that stood out for you guys?
Sarah Nelson brought the house down.
Yes, I agree with that.
Michael Rivera was honestly a great speaker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, she did great too.
Melissa killed it.
Yeah.
Moline killed it.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mike, so is that girl that represented you too, or you know what I mean?
Erin.
Oh my
You did
God.
And she didn't even
She
have
hit the
notes,
heartstrings.
Yes.
She
Funny
spoke from
thing
the heart.
about
She
that
didn't have
one.
notes.
That was an audible, guys. So what I was planning to go up there, and I kind of thought about it as like it's already Friday. They don't want to hear the technical like mumbo jumbo. I thought, at this point we're just gonna go out swinging.
Yeah.
And I was like, what better way to get my first steward? She's my first shop steward, guys.
There you go.
She's my first shop steward. So like a full circle, kind of like, look, this is the biggest stage.
Yep.
And I brought her in with me on Wednesday night and Thursday to go in and have meetings with Renfro and Barner. When they called me to the back and stuff, I was like, if I'm gonna go talk to the boss, I'm gonna bring my steward. And so I brought my steward with me, and she handled herself well. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? It's your turn to you go up this time. You're doing it. And she was down for it. And dude, she delivered
100%.
hell of a freaking speech.
100%. Yeah, shout out.
Yeah,
Shout
she
out
did good.
Erin Doherty. She did great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Brina too when she nominated Mike. That was awesome. That was awesome. I have to say that. That was one of the funnest times ever. Who else? Gigax did a great job nominating Murphy.
Yes.
Melissa did a great job nominating you, Sarah.
And Jamie.
Margo, your guy. He did a great job. Who else?
The legend Jamie Partridge.
Yeah, Jamie is a legend.
I was so honored.
Who nominated Chris P?
That was Capone from Next Gen.
Capone. There you go.
Yeah.
He did a great job. Who else do we have? That?
And then Towney, his president, did him.
Towney, man. Towney was a cool dude. I met him in real life, and we kicked it off. That dude's super cool. But I listened to the Solidarity Report, so
he was literally organizing anybody he could while he was there. He was
is that what he was doing?
Let me see what you're doing over there. Okay. Do you know this, and this? Okay.
No, Towney's good people. So.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's wrap this up with how are you going to share with your membership what happened at convention? Like what if somebody comes up to you and asks like what happened, what are you gonna share with them what happened? Like, are you excited to go back and tell somebody like, hey, this is what happened?
So let me see. Our union meeting's on Wednesday. So I have to one
you
thing
probably
that
have to give a report.
Yeah, I had to get because they're already like, oh, you're in LA partying. I was like, I don't party. I was in classes. So I did go to Universal on Sunday, but that's my off day. But other than that, in New Orleans we have Mardi Gras. So with Mardi Gras, nobody shows up to work. I'm just gonna let you know right now. Even the supervisors, the postmasters, they don't show up to work on Fat Tuesday. So I spoke to a guy. He's actually running for Region 6. I think his name's Kyle. He was teaching the class on LMOUs. Smart guy, very smart. And and I was asking him how could we do this LMOU where we can include Mardi Gras as an off day, but we're using our own annual leave, because pre-COVID, you used to be able to use your annual leave if you wanted to not work, and if you wanted to work, they would send you to either deliver parcels or work in the plant downtown. So they gave you the option, but after COVID, they're like, no, everybody has to show up to work. So everybody's pretty much calling in, like I said, even the supervisors. So I'm trying to see if I can work that in the LMOU, and I don't know. It's one of those things we're going to try. So that's what I'm going to go talk to my branch about this Wednesday.
So I got my board meeting tomorrow night right before our general membership meeting, because our board meeting should have been during the convention, but obviously we had to move it back due to the convention. And I chair our executive board, so obviously it will be one of our topics we discuss, was for the people who are at the convention. And then at the membership, I'm sure we'll definitely have different people who are at the convention stand up and speak about it. Probably won't be every single person who was there, but that'd take all night because there's like 20 some odd of us there. But and then as a vice president, I write an article for our newsletter that comes out quarterly. So good chance that the convention will be at least part of that article. And if it's, hopefully it's before the ballots will come out. I'm trying to remember when our next one goes out is off the top of my head, but those are ways to get information to the membership. Because I don't actually work in a local office anymore right now because I'm a full-time officer. But people will probably call and ask about some people will, like, what happened at the convention or whatever. And I'll definitely have those discussions about what happened, and definitely point them to the Care for Prez campaign, of course.
There you go. Got to get some votes, man.
So
I plan to tell them, I know that the workshops were cut off, but I plan to tell them like some of the stuff that I learned in the workshop. So I took the class on city delivery. So that's actually a super helpful one. So it's like we learned about the new arrow key scanner unlock thing, which they're already rolling out in Las Vegas. I did not know, but they're rolling it out. Yeah.
Sorry, actually, we have it in our branch already too.
Yeah, exactly. So they're rolling it out in certain places. We haven't gotten there yet, but we learned about like the next gen delivery vehicles. Mm-hmm. And then I also learned, I took the recruiting labor activist class, I think the following morning. That was a great class. And it was something that they talked about organizing, doing a lot of the stuff that frankly a lot of us troublemakers are already kind of doing. But it was really cool. And I also plan to tell the folks from my branch, because I know that they're going to be like, hey, Margo, how's the convention? So I plan to, like, at least a couple people, there's the nerdy ones of us. But I plan to, like, tell them, like, okay, so, we talked about ranked choice voting. The T-Cola actually won this year, and just kind of give them a brief rundown about the things that were voted on and the resolutions and all that stuff. I know that some of it they could read online, and I'll try to fill them in what I can, from what I heard, and everything that happened. Yeah, just like what direction, and I'll even tell them about like how it went long. It went long because times are changing, right? It went long because there were long lines to vote because times are changing. And like, I think that people deserve to be filled in when times change, right? When the union is changing, and to hear about our progress.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's another thing that I was happy that it passed. I think it just passed with the executive board, was the work assignment people can sign the NS stay list. So a lot of my carriers will be happy about that, because some people just don't want to work the overtime, and they're out there. They'll work the 6 days a week, but they don't want to work 12 hours a day. So I'm glad that so technically that's in our book. So that's something that they're going to negotiate with the post office, where it's just one word that has to be changed, and then everybody can sign that MS Day list. So
yeah. Anna, I saw you wanting to speak.
So I have this one guy. I have a very small office, you guys. I only have 10 and a half routes. I have about 14 carriers now. So there's only one guy that is like actively asking me questions. Every time I go to the meetings, he's like, hey, do you get the minutes? And I was like, I got the minutes. Here you go. And he reads it every time. So I picked up a copy of the daily newsletter that they were printing out. Oh, so I got one for each day just for him. And then I have one for each day for myself, so that I can share the information with them and they can read firsthand, kind of like things that we did talk about. And then I have my the little booklet that we were going through with the amendments and the resolutions and whatnot. So I'll share that with them too if they're interested. But a lot of my guys, they just want to know what I know. They're not really like finding the information out on their own. They'll ask questions and then I got to have the answer. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is just sharing my first experience, because I believe I am the first steward for my station to ever go to convention. So
congratulations.
yeah.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I met Mike Shea there too. I had made it a point that's the guy that one of the editors for the Postal Record, because I want to put a face to the name, because I would email him our branch item. Like, I tried to get it out every month, but it's just like, yeah, at first when you get the job, you're like, oh, I got all this stuff on my mind. And then like after a year, you're just like, oh, let me see what I can talk about. But I got to meet them. They were upstairs. They were cranking out articles, that little pamphlet or whatever
The
the
Chronicle.
thing. Yeah, the Chronicle. They were doing that daily upstairs in like room 403. So I got to go up there, talk to them. They were super cool, and they were writing those every day. So shout out to Mike Shea and the Postal Record team.
That sounds so cool. I
Yeah.
didn't know you could actually see like the behind the scenes of how they were doing the print and stuff, or how they were getting like working.
They were typing it up, Mike. I didn't see them printing it. And I'm not sure if I was supposed to be there, but I kind of made it a point to go there. Like, I seen the young lady taking pictures, and I was like, hey, are you with the Postal Record team? And she was like, yeah. I was like, man, I really want to meet Mike. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she told me, she was like, he's in room 403. I was like, okay, I'm going to go up there and meet him. She was like, okay. So I went up there, and he was super cool. He looked like a journalist. He had the hoodie on with the ball cap, and he's just like, oh yeah, it was pretty cool. It was cool. So
you're the scribe for your branch, right?
Yes,
That's what
yes.
we're called. There's scribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking about that on Sunday. I was like, how do you get to be a scribe? It's like, well, your branch president has to okay it. I'm like, oh, well, never mind.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Mike.
know.
You don't have
But
your branch president's a very difficult
but
guy. So,
did you guys kind of know I like to write a little bit here and there? So I mean, it would have been nice, but it's so cool. I love the Postal Record. I think it's
yeah.
I
No, the
never
Postal
want
Record's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shout out to
you could always start like a blog of an unofficial type and go from there.
Oh, let me tell you the story of Michael Johnson from Fresno. You don't want to do that.
Oh no.
What happened?
He got suspended for 5 years.
From the branch?
For writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for the stuff on his blog.
That's so crazy, man.
Not cool. Not cool at all. But
I'm going to be honest with you, man.
Freedom of speech doesn't exist, I guess.
Yeah. It's a very disappointing how some people run their branches. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. Not
but
downer there.
I hope you do become your scribe, dude. 400 words. That's all you can write in your branch item. So
yeah, they do.
400 words, huh, John?
I've been our branch scribe. Actually, technically, I think I still am, but I don't. I think I need to pass it to somebody else, because I couldn't even tell you last time I submitted something to the Postal Record.
No, it's one of those
I've
things.
done it a few times, though, when I was recording secretary more.
400 words is nothing, because okay, I know the National Leadership Academy application, your essay is 500 words. And I'm like, I don't know how you can even write something that's just 500 words.
It's nothing. It's an incredible
500
discipline.
words is nothing. There's a guy, I got to give him a shout out, because he was kind of the person that led me to doing the Postal Record. His name is Tony Rodriguez from the Smoky Mountains branch in Tennessee. I met him in Region 8 training in 2022. He was really nice. This is an older gentleman. He kind of like, we would email back and forth, and he would teach me how to do the shop steward stuff. And I bust open the Postal Record one day, and his branch item's there. I was like, oh, Tony's branch item. I was like, hey, man, how do you do this? He was like, well, you got to email Phil Dime, and you got to get permission from your branch president. And I was like, done. Give me a second. I called my branch president. I was like, dude, you got to let me do this. And he was like, no problem. And yeah. So if anybody's interested, you should do it.
It's a little different than how I became the branch scribe. I got voluntold.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us for Mic Drop Monday. I appreciate you sharing your stories and all the laughs we had and our experiences. And you are what make these conversations so much fun and meaningful. And to everybody who's going to be tuning in and supporting and sharing and showed any love, thank you. And until the next mic drop.
Care for Prez.
Care for Prez. We like
Care
Mike,
for
baby.
Prez.
We like
Yeah.
Mike.
All day. The 26th
Bye,
on the 26th.
Bye.
See y'all later. It's great hanging out with y'all.